The story begins in the MMORPG world of Yggdrasil, where players can enjoy in an imaginary world. We see our main character, named Momonga, who is also the guild leader of the ainz ooal, enjoying his final moments in the guild-based dungeon of the Great Tomb of Nazric. As Momonga moves around with the guild testament staff, he bumps into the NPC named Sabers and the combat maids of Pleiades, who are the last line of defense for the dungeon. He orders them to follow him to the throne room, which is guarded by another NPC named Albedo. She supervises all of the guardians and is the most powerful NPC in the Great Tomb of Nazric. He notices that Albedo is a bitch from the inside, so he reprograms her to fall in love with him. When Momonga was taking a rest, he was thinking that the server would shut down and that would make him forcefully log out of the game, but instead he couldn't figure out what was going on. He suddenly realized that he was talking with an NPC, which is impossible in the MMORPG. He gave Sabers an order to investigate the surrounding areas of the Nazric and Pleiades to protect the 9th floor. Momonga believes that the imaginary world he was in might have become a reality. He then orders Albedo to gather the floor guardians on the 6th floor. In the meantime, he teleports to the amphitheater on the 6th floor, where he is greeted by floor guardians named Aura and Mare, the twin dark elves. They get impressed by looking at the staff of ainz ooal, which is the strongest guild weapon. Momonga summoned a primal fire elemental monster to test out his tier spells, and when he asks Aura if she wants to fight it, she agrees, pulling Mare along with her. Following that, we see Momonga call for Sabers to come to the 6th floor and report what he has noticed in the surroundings of Nazric. The floor guardians begin to gather one by one until everyone is fully assembled and pledges their undying loyalty to Momonga. Among the other floor guardians, there is Shaltira, a true vampire, who guards the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd floors of the Great Tomb of Nazric. Cocytus, who looks like a warrior, is the guardian of the 5th floor. Demiurge is a demon who guards the 7th floor. When everyone pledged their loyalty to Momonga, the supreme ruler of Nazric, he asked Sabers to report the survey of the surroundings. It seems Momonga was correct in his assumption that Nazric had been transported to an unknown land. After that, he ordered everyone to strengthen their defenses and develop a powerful information-gathering system. In the meantime, Mare was tasked with hiding the Great Tomb of Nazric. As Momonga left the amphitheater, everyone was talking about his amazing presence. Despite being a level 100 magic caster, Lord Momonga can't equip or wield weapons. So he creates a greater item, black armor, which lets him wield any weapon. After that, we observe Momonga and Demiurge leaving Nazric. He was astounded by what he saw outside. Then, as we can see, he offers a ring to Mare as well as one to Albedo. This ring allows the user to travel between Nazric's floors. Meanwhile, we see the King of Riestes ordering his men to investigate and terminate the bandit group that had been attacking nearby villages. As it was a top-secret mission, head warrior Gazef and his 50 soldiers were dispatched. Even though it might be a trap set by the neighboring country named Baharath, Gazef wants to protect the weak villagers. Next, Momonga uses a magic item named Mirror of Remote View to survey the surrounding area. When he discovers that a village named Kani has been attacked by knights, Momonga decides to save the village, as Touch Me would do the same, so he orders the security level to be raised to maximum and tells Albedo to join him in full armor. As he was transported to Kani village, he summoned a Death Knight to wipe out entire knights who were massacring the village. Momonga gives a healing potion to the injured girl and a small war horn item. If the war horn is blown, an army of goblins will come to aid them. The girl wanted to know who their savior was. In reply to that, he said, ainz ooal. Following that, we see that the Death Knight is killing other knights in armor. When there were a few left, Ainz stopped the Death Knight, letting everyone return alive so that they could tell what had happened here. This would spread the name of ainz ooal. After that, Ainz needed information, so he asked the village chief for it. He becomes familiar with the surrounding areas, such as Kani village and Nazric, which are part of the Riestes kingdom. The Baharath Empire is situated near a massive mountain range that goes north and south. These two countries hated each other that they wage a war against each other near the capital city of Yggdrasil. There is still one to the south of both nations, which is the Slain Theocracy. They were the ones behind the village attack. After learning about the Yggdrasil city and the Adventure Guild, Ainz decided to travel there to gather more information. Following that, we see some knights were approaching the village. After a close examination, we get to know that Gazef Stronov of the Riestes kingdom with his 50 soldiers paid them a visit. Gazef thanks Ainz for saving the villagers. We now see the magic casters of the Slain Theocracy's Special Ops Unit. which received direct orders from the head priest of the 6 scriptures to kill head warrior Gazef. As Gazef is aware of their traps, he is interested in hiring Ainz at any price because he is a magic caster and hiring him would help him save his comrades and the village. But Ainz declined the offer because he didn't care about the humans and their issues. He begged Ainz to at least save these villagers, upon which he promised to protect them. What bothers Ainz the most is that the angels in front of him are exactly similar to the Yggdrasil monster. So before leaving, Ainz gave Gazef a gift and wished him luck in the battle. Then, Gazef led his soldiers towards the enemy to protect the village, and as he defeated all the angels, the enemy commander summoned another set of angels once more. Because Gazef was going to die, somehow Gazef and his men were transported back to the village storage house with other villagers who were protected by Ainz magic. This was only possible because of Ainz' magical gift. As Ainz introduces himself to the people of the slain theocracy, he tells them to surrender, or else they will die painfully. The commander ignores the warning and leads all the angels to attack him. Ainz uses a spell called Negative Burst and all the angels simply disappear. As the commander becomes confused, he orders the mid-level angel named Principality of Observation to attack him. Ainz even stops him with his one hand and uses a single spell Hell Flame, which vaporizes him. The commander got frustrated, how a single spell could destroy high-level angels. He used his trump card which was given by the head priest and summoned the Dominion Authority, which is the highest level of an angel. At first, Ainz got cautious, but later thought how foolish it was to stay on guard against such child's play, upon which the commander orders to use the high-level spell that even annihilates demons. This made him feel a little pain, as planned Ainz uses black hole magic, upon which the Dominion Authority, which is the highest level of an angel, vanished without a trace. And now everyone started to fear Ainz, as they saw death in front of them. Because they have captured the commander of the slain theocracy, Ainz decides it is not a good idea to contact them right now as they are a threat to the non-human races. Albedo informs Ainz on the current situation in Nazarick. We see Shaltia Bloodfallen arrived and informed Ainz that she was leaving for her mission with sabers. To learn more about this new world, Ainz Oelgaun and Nabril Gamma enter the fortress city of Yggdrasil. As they created chaos at the inn by throwing a thug adventure at Britar, a female adventurer, they gave her a high-level healing potion in exchange. Ainz advises changing his name to Momon, and so does Nabril as Nabe, her fellow adventurer. Momon and Nabe talk about his plans to become a famous adventurer in this city, as this will let them gain more information and experience. They also need to find work quickly because the money they had from Yggdrasil is useless in this world. Britar goes to Barrier's workshop to appraise the potion and discovers it's a rare potion. Lizzie Barrier advises his grandson to look for this adventurer and discover who makes this rare potion. In the meantime, Momon and Nabe try to find work at the Adventurers Guild, but the Swords of Darkness, a silver-class adventurer group, interrupt and offer them a job. They talk about the specifics of their job. Following the discussion, they meet Inferior Barrier, who asks Momon to accompany him to Carney Village. Inferior discusses the request, but Momon suggests that they take the Swords of Darkness as well, and Inferior agrees that they will accompany them on the journey. Meanwhile, at the Yggdrasil city's communal cemetery, we get to see Clementine, a rogue member of slain theocracy, pay a visit to Kajid Dale Bardantel, an evil magician focusing on necromancy. Clementine shows him the Crown of Wisdom. She informs Kajit that she will assist him with his ritual, and he agrees to help her. Momon, Nabe, Inferior, and the Swords of Darkness are traveling to Carney Village. After a few days of traveling, Nabe accidentally reveals the name of Lady Albedo, upon which Momon stops her. After that, they are suddenly attacked by a large group of goblins and ogres. While the Swords of Darkness are eliminating the goblins, Momon is slicing the ogres with his sword like it's just a piece of cake. As the fight continues, the adventurer group quickly understands that their partners are not ordinary adventurers. The party then set up camp to rest before continuing on their journey. They discuss the origins and symbol of the Swords of Darkness group. Momon begins to discuss his guildmates, and Ninea says that Mr. Momon would find more allies just like them, upon which Momon becomes emotional. After Momon and Nabe leave, Swords of Darkness concludes that Momon's comrades are most likely gone. After that, Inferior begins to change the subject and explains Momon's strength, and Peter starts to think that Momon is on the same level as an adamantite adventurer, and the group talks all night. Meanwhile, at Yggdrasil, Kajit creates more undead minions in order to prepare for taking over the city, while Clementine awaits the return of Inferior. Momon's party arrives in Carney village, where they meet Inri Emot and her goblin troop. Inri explains to Inferior why the town has been fortified and discusses about ainz ooal gown, the red elixir that healed her, and albedo. By telling this, Inferior realized that Momon is ainz ooal gown. So he quickly ran towards Ainz and apologized for tricking him, while Ainz warned him not to reveal his real identity to anyone. After that, they started gathering the herbs in the forest. Ainz tells Aura, a dark elf capable of controlling magical beasts, to lure out the wise king of the forest. He was disappointed after discovering that the wise king of the forest is merely a huge hamster that can be easily defeated. After taming the wise king of the forest, Inferior requests Momon to let him join his team so that he can protect Inri and the Carney village, but Momon rejects the request and advises Inferior that he would protect the village. They return to Yggdrasil after fulfilling Inferior's request. While Momon and Nabe register their magical creature with the Adventurers Guild, Inferior and the Swords of Darkness are unloading the herbs in Barria's house. Clementine appears in front of Inferior, where she is about to kidnap him. The Swords of Darkness try to buy time for Inferior and Ninea to escape, but Khajiit block their path, resulting in the deaths of all members. Later, we see Hamsuke has been registered at the Adventurers Guild as Momon's pet, and we get to see Lizzie, as she guides them to her house to collect their reward for completing the quest. However, we come across the Swords of Darkness, who have turned into zombies. Momon investigates and discovers that their real target was Inferior all the time, and so they killed the rest. Momon asks Lizzie to hire him, as he is the only dependable person who could save his grandson, and she accepts it. Momon instructs Nabe to use various scrolls to ensure their safety and to locate Inferior. After doing some research, Momon discovers that there is an undead army in the graveyard, and orders Lizzie to notify the guild and townspeople about the danger. The undead army attacked the city gate from the Yggdrasil cemetery, and the guards tried to protect it, but their overwhelming numbers overcame them. Soon after, we see Momon's team arrive and begin to defeat the undead. After going deep into the cemetery, Momon's team encounters Zaranorn members who are going to use the death spiral to get to the city. Momon then left Nabe to deal with Khajiit, leaving him and Clementine to fight somewhere else. Momon informs Clementine that he does not need to fight her seriously. Momon and Nabe begin their battles against Khajiit Dale Bardantel and Clementine in order to save Inferior Barrier. Khajiit summons 2 skeletal dragons, they even declare them as impenetrable through 1st to 6th tier magic. When Nabe hears her master's command to use the power of Nazric, she no longer fights as Nabe but as Nabril Gamma, obliterating both the dragons and the Khajiit with a 7th tier spell. Momon continues to put Clementine at a disadvantage and fight with her like there is nothing to worry about. After getting angered by Momon's constant mocking of her as a weak warrior, Clementine attacks Momon with full power and stabs him in the eyeballs with elemental strikes. Momon snatches her in one arm like a bear hug, and exposes his true identity known as Ainz, the supreme ruler of Nazric. Clementine even misunderstood him as an elder lich. He torments her by telling that she was defeated by a sword-wielding magic caster who didn't even use a single spell against her. Ainz enjoys her suffering like she did with other people, and finally kills her by crushing her body with both arms. Then he went on to save Inferior and destroy the Crown of Wisdom. Momon bravely returns to Yggdrasil with Inferior, Nabe, and Hamsuke after completing the given task. They are the first one who quickly get promoted to mithril level, and Lady Albedo informs Ainz that Shaltir Bloodfallen has betrayed Nazric. At Yggdrasil, a young lady complains about her meals, creating a commotion at the inn. The young lady is actually Solution Epsilon, who, together with her butler named Sabers, is acting as a member of a wealthy family from the Baharuth Empire. Zack, who has been hired by them, tries to sell them to a mercenary organization that plans to ambush them outside the city. Shaltir Bloodfallen and her 2 vampire brides join them on a carriage ride to Re-Estes. The group then had a brief discussion about their creators until they were interrupted by a group of mercenaries who had surrounded them. They were thrilled to see Shaltir's beauty, but soon their excitement quickly turns into fear when Shaltir and her vampire brides begin to hunt the mercenaries. Shaltir and her subordinates soon leave the party to capture the strongest warriors, and as they break into the mercenaries' base, she meets Brain and Glaus, who challenges her. Despite his talent and ability, he is unable to land a single strike. Shaltier's compliments about his martial arts tell him to work harder, and after seeing that he can't defeat her, he manages to escape from there. Seeing her target escaped, Shaltier turned into her true vampire form and continues her slaughter of few more bandits. She detects movements outside the base, which turn out to be a party of adventurers. Shaltier kills everyone, leaving Britar, who is rescued from eventual death by a potion provided her by Momonga. Shaltier uses mind control magic on Britar in order to discover where she received such a potion. When she discovers the information from Britar, she is confused by her explanation and chooses to spare her life, as she may be part of Lord Ainz's plan. She is also surprised to learn a ranger station is nearby. Shaltier is frustrated by her careless actions, so she faces the enemy while regaining her monstrous form. As she attacks the group leader, the captain quickly instructs an old woman to cast magic to activate a world-level item on her clothing. Before her consciousness is fully taken away, she manages to launch an assault attack that kills both the wielder and the tanker. At the Great Tomb of Nazarick, we see Ainz spectating Shaltier bloodfallen by using a divine class item. Nabaril tries to inform that he has been summoned by the Yggdrasil Adventurers Guild, who have become aware of Shaltier. In the meeting, there are 3 other mithril-ranked adventurer teams that have been summoned to deal with the vampire. To minimize the consequences of Shaltier's presence, Ainz fabricates a story, telling everyone that he knows the vampire for quite a long time, whom he names Honio. Furthermore, he convinces everyone to hunt that vampire by showing a ceiling crystal holding a 7th tier level magic. Later, Albedo and Ainz pay a visit to Shaltier, where Ainz shows his magical ring named the Shooting Star. He thinks that the ring's wish-granting powers may break the mind control magic cast on Shaltier, but later finds that it was a waste. Albedo, Ainz, and Yuri Alpha are present in the treasury. They stumble upon a weird-looking octopus humanoid, whom Albedo identifies as Tabula Smaragdina, her creator. However, she soon corrects herself, declaring that he is an imposter, as they begin to prepare for a fight. Ainz tells them to stand down since the imposter is really Pandora's actor, the area guardian of the treasury. Following that, he orders Albedo to give her own ring to Yuri and accompany him to the mausoleum. Ainz shows Albedo the Avatara and Golem statues constructed in the forms of each of the Supreme Beings. Ainz constructed this as a memorial to his teammates and to preserve their equipment. Albedo assumes that just like every creator had gone, Lord Ainz will also abandon everyone, so she begs him to remain with Nazarick forever. Ainz declares that he will confront Shaltier alone, as it is his duty to protect everyone. When Ainz arrives at the location, he orders Aura and Mare to search for enemies nearby. Demiurge meets with Gokitis and Albedo, where he asks what is going on and discovers that Ainz wants to fight Shaltier bloodfallen alone. Demiurge is afraid that his master will be killed. So he tries to go to help his master, but is stopped by Gokitis, who has been given instructions by Ainz to stop any disturbance. Ainz approaches Shaltier, who is still in standby mode, as he prepares for battle, strengthening his numbers with magic-enhancing spells and equipping himself with quick-change items. Finally, he is ready to cast super-tier magic, Fall on Down. When the spell is finished, it causes immense damage, creating a giant crater in which Shaltier, who had been standing quietly in a steady posture, is not only equipped with a spuent lance but also outfitted in her Valkyrie armor. Despite seeming unhurt, Shaltier laughed and acknowledged that the strike had hurt her, and she prepared to attack her master. Both of them launched counterattacks. Shaltier takes the upper hand, but Ainz uses his knowledge and experience to defeat her. Shaltier then summons her physical doppelganger, Einhaja. She even summons her household to heal herself using spuent lance and consume their mana. After seeing this, Ainz eventually uses Widen Magic, Cry of the Banshee and manages to beat the doppelganger and her summon household in one fell swoop, leaving her alone. Shaltier prepares to kill Ainz, thinking that he is short on mana. Rather than accepting defeat, Ainz claims that she was foolish and that everything is working as he had planned. He talks about how grateful he is for Shaltier's ignorance, as his PvP strategies and use of disinformation assisted him in deceiving her. Shaltier began to fight back, attempting to stab Ainz with her spear. Ainz casts a spell known as Perfect Warrior, which lets him wear Touch Me's personal armor. Even floor guardians are shocked to see it. Shaltier yells out in agony as her chest is sliced. She notices that ainz is now wielding a katana, another weapon of the Supreme Beings. Using the perfect warrior, he can now change multiple weapons, making it unpredictable to Shaltir. Now that Shaltir is low on HP, ainz uses his trump card by using a super tier spell, Fallen Down, and we see that Shaltir has been vaporized. After ainz had returned to Nazarick, he prepares to resurrect Shaltir. The remaining Floor Guardian suggests that even after her resurrection, if she still intended to fight under mind control, they would fight her this time. Shaltir is successfully resurrected, although she has no recollection of the previous 5 days. Now that there is someone who can threaten Nazarick, ainz orders everyone that it is more important to increase their power to defend. Albedo is anxious to please and informs him that Nazarick has lately located the Great Lake, which is home to the Lizardmen. A few months later, news about Momon destroyed the vampire got spread. The Adventurers Guild raised Momon rank to Adamantite level adventurer. Inferia and Lizzie Baria are also migrated to Carney Village, where they are greeted by Henry and Lupus Regina. Somewhere in the Riestes, Solution Epsilon and Sabers have moved into the royal capital. Furthermore, Gaze of Stronov finds a man in depressed, which was actually Brain and Glaus in the alleyways. Meanwhile, in the slain theocracy, the captain of the Black Scripture reports the incident to the 6 cardinals about how a powerful vampire defeat their team. Momon prepares to leave the guild for another mission, telling Shaltir to deploy Gargantua. Check out the playlist for such amazing recaps. If you think we have missed something, let us know in the comments section. That's it for today.
ありがとうございました。